Welcome back to Bedouin Banter. It is the podcast where all things Bedouins up close matters the most to you, because that was just meaningless jargon. I'm not good with my words, and many of us are not good with our words, and that's why I have a writer with me today, somebody that actually his whole job is basically not only inspire us, but to create something that takes us to other worlds, paints a picture in his own mind that translates to ours, and gives us an understanding of what it takes to be a writer, to be an author, to be a wordsmith. Something that I've never been that good at, but I try to be. And that's why, guys, I want you to remember that when you watch this, take a little chunk of this story and make it your own. Try to envision how you would take on this little adventure through his life and what it means to be a writer, what it means to be an author. And make sure to check out his book, because he's the man behind the legend that is the Titan Lord legend. I already screwed up that one. MD Darwish Muhammad is here with us in studio. He's going to be talking to us about many of his books. You're going to see some of the other ones in the back there. There's Dragon Tooth, Fortier, and of course the upcoming book, Titan Lord, The 1,000 Ashes. 1,000 ashes.
1,000 ashes.
1,000 ashes.
1,000
This time I got the A almost right, unlike the Instagram post. Check it out. This is the trailer to it right now.
They told you they were here. They were among you. Living, breathing, fighting for your own survival. Men of the North, do you hear the Titans humming? Signaling their lord to come. The Empire is no more. It has fallen. For what were they but mere mortals? And their enemy is something that all of them trembled before. Beyond this realm and the next, and through 1,000 ashes, they all whisper in fear. The Titan Lord is here. 14th of October, 2020. The end begins. Quell the Titans.
All right, that's it. You've seen the trailer. That is the new book out. By the time this is out, it's going to be out, right?
Yeah, it would be available for pre-order.
There you go. Available for pre-order right now, guys. Check it out. Make sure to check out his website as well, mgdarwish.com.
Yes.
And make sure to check out his Instagram. Everything's coming up on screen for you guys right now. Don't forget, guys, we do have a giveaway prize for this episode, a specifically special giveaway, because Muhammad has made sure to give us a bunch of prizes for all of you that are joining us. If you follow the Instagram account, follow Bedouin Banter on Instagram, comment on the giveaway post on there. Make sure to tag somebody. And on this YouTube video as well, in the comments, just write out Titan Lord to double your chances at winning for this random raffle giveaway. All right, Muhammad, tell us a little bit about that trailer and what we're supposed to be doing. You said we're supposed to be quelling the Titans. I can see it from your shirt.
Quelling the Titans.
Quelling them.
So in general, I think the most important thing about Titan Lord is that phrase. I think I've been saying it everywhere, quell the Titans. So I just wanted to give a bit of perspective to that wording, which is everybody has Titans inside of them, which Titans and in that particular world exist as an attribute. So when it comes to humans, you can look at it in terms of fear, nervousness, anxiousness, and all those negative traits can be Titans within you. So that's where the phrase quell the Titans comes from, lest they quell you.
So you're quelling your inner passion, your inner need for egotistical glory, everything that drives you as a human being is what you're saying with that?
In a way, yeah.
Okay. So I want to be able to talk to you guys about the book, specifically the first one, because it was one of the reads that I've had to go through for the sake of this podcast, because I don't like faking it. A lot of people out there on their shows do. I actually had to read this. It was really annoying for some of the scenes, but I loved it on a whole. So I'm not holding back on any punches here. I enjoyed it, and there were some things that did not make sense to me. But Muhammad has been amazing to actually sit with me earlier today and downstairs and actually clarify it for me. I wish we could talk about it, but I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
That's the difficult part, but we can have a spoiler-free zone.
We can maybe we'll do it right at the end, and we can have a spoiler-free zone for those of you that want to go back to the episode, rewatch it, watch the end part, and we're going to talk about that at the end of the episode,
Sure.
right?
But just to clarify something,
Yeah.
all your concerns will be addressed.
They have. I have to honestly say he has. Then there were a couple of scenes where I felt like my brain wasn't wrapping myself around some of the detail, the intricacies of the prophecy, of what's going on with some of the characters, what's going on with some of the scenes. And I realized, oh no, Muhammad has layers. You've added little hints and subtle early seeds that you've planted that tell you everything you need to know.
I think generally you can tell the end of Titan Lord by the first 3 chapters, I would say.
The first 3 chapters.
Three
So that
chapters.
first 100 pages, you'd say, of the book, maybe around that time.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because that's the scene where I felt like I struggled the most because maybe I wasn't looking into things very deeply. And I felt like it was inspired by the original journey of what people go through in a JRPG. Because
Okay.
you started off straight away with a slime. That was the first monster they practiced against.
Okay.
What was the reasoning behind the slime?
The slime actually comes from. This is going back to the origins of Titan Lord as an idea or a concept in my mind. So I think I was playing an online game,
Okay.
and there was this specific dungeon, right, where a bunch of people would just join in, BFAK, which is away from keyboard,
Okay.
and just wait for the dungeon to end. And I struggled with that concept. I wanted to do the dungeon because it was fun. And there were other people as well. So I think, long story short, we did the entire dungeon, but we actually got... can I say the kill word, by the way?
The what?
The K word, the kill.
What's the K word?
I don't know. It's the kill word.
The kill word? Yeah, I
Kill.
guess.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
of course. Why
I
can't
don't
you
know,
say
man.
that?
I don't know.
This is no. We have no standards here.
Okay,
I
okay.
already told you we don't talk local politics, and we
mean-
all know why we don't talk local
I mean-
politics.
I mean,
but that's about it. Everything else is free to go. So go
Okay.
for it.
I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't kill people.
I know he kills
Not in-
people.
No,
he kills
in
people.
books. In books,
He
allegedly.
does. Apparently, in the back he says, by the way, I kill these people because I'm trying to kill my friends, something like that, or he's basing his characters off of his friends. Here we go. M.G. Darwish is an award-nominated author who writes dark, twisted, and action-packed fiction. He tries his best not to base his characters on anyone he knows in real life. Tries his best. All right? So he can avoid that extra weird conversation about how they were brutalized and killed in the book. Oh, and he's terrified of a penguin uprising more than ghosts and demons.
That is true.
Why a penguin uprising?
Because they're up to no good.
You feel it?
Absolutely.
All of them?
I mean, they're
It's
in
the
on
emperor
it.
penguins, right? It's because of their name.
No, I mean, think back to The Simpsons, right? There was one episode where Lisa actually caught a penguin flying across the room.
I don't remember.
She was
this.
not supposed to see that.
She was like just off the cuff, just
Yes.
saw one in the back.
She
and
just opened the room. A penguin was flying.
flying.
Yes.
And this was like a hidden talent that the penguin didn't want to
Exactly.
know about.
So that-
I feel like the hint is the emperor penguin title.
But here's the thing: who knows what they're up to?
Nobody knows. That's why
Exactly.
they're off there in the south. Is it the south or the north?
South Pole.
I can't tell. We're gonna have to rewatch
Nothing-
Happy Feet.
yeah, okay.
That's where, see, oh great reference plug right there.
Wow.
Enjoy it, guys.
Okay.
So we know for a fact you like weird things, you like dark and twisted things, as you've said, and you like to
Absolutely.
brutalize people that might be representations of people you know.
I mean, here's the way actually books work for most people. It's generally a transition into a world that is filled with mystery and fantasy.
How dare you? Is that your phone?
What was that? No,
Is that my phone?
it's one of those phones.
I think it might be my phone. Hold on. Oh shit. It's one of the cameras. You were saying that you have a process.
So, wait, what was I saying?
I don't know. You had a process about writing. We were getting to that point. I was asking you about brutalizing your characters and viciously attacking people that you know, and whether that's part of your process to, I guess, take representations from people you know.
So in general, I think most readers go to books to escape their realities. But a good book will not only do that, but it's going to give you that feeling that this is reality. So
Right.
there is no escaping from, anything that is negative affecting your life. The best way to deal with those things is you go through them, you
Yeah.
face them head on. And I think a lot of books fail in doing that. They shy away from, let's say, killing off certain characters,
Right.
protagonists, heroes, whatever. But I want my readers, to quote George R.R. Martin, I want my readers to be afraid. I want them to fear for their characters'
Yeah.
lives.
Okay, so, I'll quote the interviewer that was talking to George R.R. Martin.
Okay.
Why are there not enough black people in your books?
Okay.
Okay, as a Bahraini author, right? There's a lot of Western fantasy here, and I could say leans more towards the Japanese,
Okay,
but
that's fair.
not many Arabs. Not marry brown people.
Gen-
In this book right here, is it on screen? Can you guys see? No, it's not on screen. But you can see in the back where that. Can you point to it? MG Darwish, all those books there. The vampire one,
Okay.
Dragon Tooth one. Yeah.
So in general, I think that comes to the process of determining where the story takes place.
Okay.
So for example, Titan Lord is a fiction world. It's a fantasy setting. So in a sense, the cultures and traditions don't exist because, let's say, the people that live in that specific continent all have their own traditions and cultures. And I think, in a sense, I have always, let's say, shied away from any form of restriction when it comes to the writing process. So I try not to limit myself by any culture, any tradition, or anything that constrains, let's say, my artistic ability.
Right.
So in a sense, I think writers write about what they know.
Okay. So
That's-
then this leads perfectly to the next question. What got you into writing in the first place? What did you know and you felt like you needed to share as a Bahraini author that went to the realm of fantasy specifically? And now in this sense also, what would you classify Fortier as?
It's actually classified as paranormal urban fantasy.
Okay. So those two. Tell us about
yes.
that journey. What got you there in the first place?
So, I mean, here's the thing. When I write, I don't look at the genre specifically because I think as an indie author, which stands for independent author, by the way, an indie author has to wear 3 different hats, right? So he has to be a writer, he has to be a marketeer, and then he has to be a salesman. And these 3 hats cannot interfere with one another. So
Right.
when I'm writing the book, I'm just writing the book, right? I figure out all the different stuff that, cool. Have fun editing this, Khalid. Cool.
Awesome. Okay, good. Welcome to my world, bitch. By the way, a lot of people think that me and Mohammed have a beef or like some kind of rivalry. We only have it as a fun little game on radio when he used to be the guy that would call in to challenge every single game, to win every single challenge on radio. So I feel like
Which I won.
which you
generally.
in fairness did win. A lot of times I did cheat to actually make him not win, so that helped.
Seriously?
Yeah, I did. Just
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm announcing it right now. It was just for you, by the way.
Damn it.
You were the only one that I ever did that to. That's it.
I knew I won.
But yeah, I wanted to talk to him on the podcast because he's somebody that is, whenever you mention, like I've said in previous shows, whenever you mention to people in Bahrain, it's like, yeah, have you heard of this band? Have you heard of this poet? Have you heard of this comedian or this actor? And then the people go, what? When? I've never heard of, what? I didn't know we had one of these. And the same thing happened when I was getting this show prepped. People didn't know that we had our very own Bahraini author who has been around in the scene for, I don't know how long now. How many years has it been for you?
I think 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
And you've been, self-publishing. You've been actually marketing yourself. You've been doing a lot of things, including, putting promotions together, paying people out to be able to produce content that shows the quality that you're trying to put into your work. And
Absolutely.
what is it? Are you surprised still that people don't know that this is even a thing that happens in Bahrain? Or do you feel like you found a core audience that's still, that's been there and they get it and it's always appealing to them?
Honestly, it's a bit of both. Because generally, I think in my bio, I don't hide the fact that I am from Bahrain, even if I feel like hiding that fact would help propel my career a bit further, honestly.
Why is that?
I think, there's a general conception that authors that are not native English speakers generally suck.
Really?
Yes.
This is in the Western-centric
Oh,
world?
I get that all the time. I think I have reviews that are a bit,
Wait, these are people that are saying it's publicly and openly in the publishing world?
Yes. I mean,
Wow.
Here's the thing. I've had a lot of agents that, read the initial, let's say, 3 paragraphs. 3 first chapters, and then they were like, "Wait, you're from where?" No, scrap that. We
Wow.
don't work with native We don't work with someone who's not native, for example.
But I thought that was all the rage now, is for them to empower these like ethnic minority voices.
But see-
is it because you're writing a genre that they're not interested in?
Exactly. So in general, I think what the secret formula or the secret sauce to that is controversy. So if I don't market myself as this guy from Bahrain who is just trying to make it, because most generally I think I did an interview once where someone asked me, what is the biggest misconception about indie authors, in your opinion? And I said that they're successful.
Right.
And it's true, because not every indie author is successful, honestly. You think about the books that you enjoy reading. Think about all the books that were never written because the author gave up.
Yeah.
So I think generally that's a very big challenge that we face almost all the time. And I'm not sure when was it exactly that a read a book around the world challenge kind of started.
Right.
And for some damn reason, everyone was finding my books. And the reviews go like, I don't read fantasy, but I had to because I had to finish a book by a writer in Bahrain. I'm like, no, if you don't read fantasy, don't read fantasy.
Don't read it, yeah.
So it's not for you. It's not for you.
See, this is the part that I don't get with some people. It's like, okay, like for me specifically, I liked the ending of this book because it started getting dark, and I like that because for me, I like the gritty, I like the politically savvy, I like things, especially in my fantasy, I like it being like House of Cards.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of people don't like that about Game of Thrones. They think there's too much distraction. Whilst for me, the political intrigue is everything about it that I like. So there are different tastes even within fantasy. Some people like the high fantasy. They like everything that goes with, like, I don't know, Legend of the fucking Seeker. That's your thing. I enjoy it. But my point is, do you feel like finding your readership and finding your own voice, finding your own trail, is it hindered by this idea that you're writing for a genre that isn't associated usually with Bahrain or Arabs or Middle Easterners? Are you being pushed, for example, into a specific label like, hey, put more brown people in the book? And, why are you calling him Benjin? Why isn't he this called Bessoum? Come on. Why isn't this a thing for you?
I mean, here's the thing. If I go... I mean, here's the thing. I'm a guy who analyzes every single thing, right? So I have to understand the audience that are devouring my books, the ones that come back and read other books. I look at a lot of graphs and diagrams and everything. So my readership currently stands at, I think, 83% US based.
Okay.
And I think the rest is scattered between UK, Canada, and Australia.
So the majority are American.
Exactly. So if you're from there, this is my people's cam as well.
Yes.
If you're from there watching this, thank you. Comment down below. Quell the Titans, not Titan Lord.
Oh, not Titan Lord? Oh, you specifically want to know. Okay, so if you're specifically from the US and you're one of the audiences from there,
Exactly.
You're going to confuse everybody right now.
No. I mean, here's the thing.
There's going to have two people, the Titan Lord people trying to get the giveaway, and then there's the people that are quelling the Titan Lord Titans.
But that should count as an entry as well. To be
fair.
Oh,
you want both?
Yeah.
Fine. I guess we're doing this now.
Okay.
He's mentioned it on the podcast. It has to be done.
Fair point. But I think, in general, if you look at my statistics, my readership in Bahrain consists of around 3% of my audience. So in general, 3%. Here's the... and you can have a meme, the ones about tough pills to swallow.
Yeah.
People talk about supporting local authors and local businesses.
But they don't give a
But they don't. Exactly.
No, they don't.
It's just for show. It's just something cool that they say to, and I don't want to sound bitter or anything, because there are a lot of people that support, local businesses. But in general, I think there is a big... conception.
Do you think that's just for us though, because we're the English speaking ones? Because for example, I tried to do esports and I did it for successfully for a little bit, and I got a lot of gigs out of it. I did a lot of work out of it, but the reality was, if I wasn't going to speak in Arabic, which I ended up doing anyway for about a year and a half, there was not a lot of opportunity. Now you can argue in that field is very different and then gets a different kind of support anyway because of the industry in itself being supported overseas, but I still felt like you know what, this is not me. This is not my, this is not what I'm good at. And I can do it. I can do the baseline Arabic really well. I can be relatable. I can, bring some of Khalid into it. And it's going to work. But still, it's like operating at 20% of who I am. So do you feel like you're hindered by the fact that if you had written this in Arabic, do you think it would have been more appealing for most people?
I mean, here's the thing. In general, there is a lot less competition for Arabic literature. That's just the case, right?
Okay.
But I think, this is a question, by the way, I've had to deal with a lot in my lifetime. It's why do you write in English? Why don't you write in Arabic?
Yeah.
And I think, to be specific, I come from a writing background as well. So I was a script writer before. I wrote plays. I wrote short movies and feature length productions.
You've
that
never mentioned this before.
Exactly.
You said you had a background in TV, but I didn't realize you were fully scripting things for plays and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
So in general, I think the biggest comment that I faced was that my ideas were always too ambitious. It's too fantasy. It's not for this region. Stop doing this.
Like
right?
What? Like, for example, because Bahrain and Kuwait tend to have more of an ambitious trend when it comes to some of the Arabic content.
But here's the thing. The content that goes in this region, if you notice, there's always an element of romance and this melodrama that is occurring in almost every show that we see. And I always...
Is this distracting you a lot, by the way?
No, that's fine.
All right, good. Because it's just here to fuck with you. That's the whole point behind it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So in general, I think if you look at the mythologies and the legends that exist specifically, I think in our region, there are a lot of ideas that we can tap into. It's just untapped potential.
Well, that's the thing I always brought up. That was actually one of my stand-up bits. I think you caught a little bit out of it when I was talking about the fact that we have so many people that always say, "Oh, this is scary." We have the legends and myths of, the Greek monsters, the Egyptian ones, even the pre-Pharaonic and pre-Islamic ones, and you have all these different mythologies to feed off of if you wanted to do like a horror story. And what does Bahrain have? We always have the same thing the rest of the Middle East has: jinn.
Okay.
And then the other thing that's supposed to be scary is Mahmar. Like, how is that? Please tell me how you can craft that into a... And I've had...
Mother of donkeys, by the way.
Please, translate it completely directly into the mother of donkeys. And in my head, I'm like, well, okay, that can be... And we have the independent guy who was here, Mohammed Fakhro from Blue Steel Films and Productions. He made a short film about Mahmar. He got it as close to as scary as humanly possible, considering the limitations of what he's working with.
True.
But do you feel like that's part of the limitation, or that they just don't want to go there?
It's not about... I to give you a bit more perspective on this, let me tell you a story about the bird of Hermes.
Okay.
So Hermes in Greek mythology was the god of trickery and the god of speed.
Yeah.
And he had this bird. And the bird was so powerful, so strong, that it would devour its own wings, so as not to beat the god by so much of a margin that it would offend him.
Okay.
So the enemies of Hermes actually feared the bird more than they feared the god himself, because they didn't know at which point can the bird grow its wings back. And I think that corresponds to how we feel as a society here, because in general, every one of us has to devour his own wings to numb down their potential and
That's an
growth.
amazing way of putting it.
Exactly. So
do you feel like you were hindered by the fact that you wanted to be able to run, you wanted to be able to fly, but the realities of what we're kind of going through as a culture and what we're able to put out there is limited in scope and in scale by everybody and what they're willing to consume? If they tell you can't write this, you can't talk about this.
We have a thing for that as well. When someone tells a writer, which is, by the way, the worst thing you can tell a writer is, you can't write this, you can't do this, because we immediately do it, name a character after you, and decapitate you. Right. Hi, Elson. It's in the book. Okay, so in general, let's take the limitations of creativity in my perspective.
Okay.
Because I think I struggled with this mentality for a very long time when I started my career as a writer. right? Because I've always heard these comments: "Don't write in English. There's too much competition. You can't beat them." That was the approach. So I think in general,
Who was telling this to you? Local
Everybody.
writers and editors, or was it even the people overseas? Who was?
no, it was local people. They told
Okay.
me, "Don't. Why are you going to the fantasy route? Just stick to tents and fire and I'm like, why
That's
why
an interesting
should,
genre. The tents
Exactly.
and fire section. There
So
you go.
my argument was, why should I restrict myself? Why should I limit my creativity based on where I am geographically? Because my audience is international.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. And it depends. Like you can add your own flavor of the region, what you can tell about the region. Like I've always wanted to hear, more. That R.E. Howard is one of my inspirations. He's right there. Okay, and I like the age where he was writing with Lovecraft and everybody else, and for them that kind of primordial truth type of writing where you explore ancient civilizations. I feel like that bedrock of writing was never done here. So I would like to see more writers actually take on some of the mythologies of Dilmun or the Canaanites,
The land of the paradise.
exactly,
you know?
or even in the Quran they talk about Iram, the lost city of the pillars.
Okay.
That's not really tackled. Like there's more in that white guy's book about our ancient civilization than local writers, and I feel like somebody adapting that for a fantasy realm, even if it's in English and introduced in a Western setting, would probably add more to our flavor of the region than trying to kind of like cater to tents and deserts and fires, as you say.
I think culturally, I think we shrug off our pre-Islamic history as it's something to be ashamed of, and I think we have to learn from the past, or we are doomed to repeat it.
Do you feel like the
That's-
Egyptians get to get away with it because for some reason theirs is cool?
I mean,
Why?
No.
Why? Like Egyptians are Arabs, they're Muslims, but for them it's like Adi. You can talk about the pharaohs, you can talk about all the ancient pharaonic stuff.
I mean, see, Egypt is actually so rooted in history
Yeah.
that no one can, shake off its location. It's let's say the place where a lot of, even stories in religion actually take place in.
Yeah.
You have the story of Moses,
Yeah.
and a lot of different things happen in Egypt. So
Yeah.
it has its special place.
You can't really hide it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
you wake up, the pyramids are there. It's like fuck.
it's the pyramids.
yeah.
Were they built by aliens?
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
That's the
Nobody
real
knows.
answer.
That's why you get to be creative about the whole thing.
So I think, and who knows, by the way, maybe The Mother of Donkeys by M.G. Darwish is coming up.
Please do. Please, maybe you'll take this. Maybe please look at the mythology, look at the creation story, or not even the origin story for Mother of Donkeys. Is the fact that apparently she was she cared for her donkey so much because she had lost a family member or a son or a daughter. I can't remember what it was.
Is it?
But yeah, something like that. And
I thought she's half donkey and
she
half...
is, but this is the origin story, how she
Okay.
became apparently.
Wow.
Okay, and yeah, there's an origin story.
Okay.
And the donkey that she cared for so much got killed by villagers that I think kids or something were teasing it and bullying it, and the donkey got killed. And then she finds out, and she goes into a rage.
Okay.
Right? And she goes into such a rage that she turns halfway into a donkey. It stops halfway, by the way. It's
Okay.
not a full transformation. It's not like she inhabits the werewolf vibe and then
Okay.
goes full donkey. No, she's just half donkey. It's like if I smashed my phone and I got really angry, I turned into half a smartphone. But that's the origin story, apparently.
I'm afraid I'm going to offend people if I laugh at that, by the way. So if I do, apologies to all the mothers there. It's still a scary story. Your children are still terrified.
I don't think anybody.
You never know. You never know.
Maybe you're right.
We're in 2020.
I told
Everyone's
you, yeah.
offended about something.
It seems like
So-
the case. Are you dealing with that?
I mean, I hide from it really well. I don't.
So it comes your way, but you just
I
duck
mean,
from it?
No, here's the thing. Sometimes there's just no escaping it. But ultimately, I think it's a mentality that I have. I read reviews. No
Okay.
author should read their reviews. You should not react to them. You should not respond because the reviews are not meant for you.
Okay.
They're meant for readers. And that's a very big distinction. I think a lot of amateurs fall into the trap of responding to reviews and they go into a very embarrassing conversation where, no, this mistake is fixed. And by the way, no book is perfect.
Yeah.
I saw mistakes in George's books all the time.
Yeah.
you expect, let's say, a fair amount is 2 to 3 mistakes a book. That's perfectly fair. No
Yeah.
book is perfect. So,
So what kind of criticism do you accept? Like from reviews, would you say even if you don't read them, but you get the notion that, for example, a question like mine, like why are there not enough brown people in this book? Right? I'm leading you down the route you know you're going to.
I don't respond to that because
Okay.
generally these are somewhat opinionated, right? Because I think in general, writers write what they know. So, and again, like I think I said that before. That is why I will never write about, let's say, golf, because I don't understand. I don't understand the sport.
Okay.
I just don't. I refuse to understand golf.
Yeah.
So
you refuse to.
I
You
refuse.
actively take a stance.
I'm taking a stand right
Okay.
here on
Do
your
it.
show. Khalid.
Our next episode
Stop
of Mohammed
golf.
will be live at the Royal Golf Club, and we're going to be talking about how.
You can't do that.
No, okay, we're not going to do that then.
But stop golf. Seriously,
Stop golf.
it's meaningless. Anyways, so
ahead.
in general, I think
By the way, you lost all your Scottish readers, all of them gone.
no, I love Scotland. I
Do
want to
you?
be there.
I thought they invented golf. I think you just defended.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think they did. In any case, it
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
see, everybody has like hobbies, and I feel like we should honor that.
I have nothing against golf. I'm just letting you guys know this is Mohammed's opinion. I think he can sell me though.
Okay.
So we'll find out.
But in general, by the way, I don't trust fish for some reason as well.
So penguins,
Don't
golf,
take my word.
fish, all
And
of them.
tomatoes. No tomatoes for me. Thank
Any
you.
tomatoes?
They're sneaky. Cool.
Disaster. Vicious man-eating tomatoes grow to monstrous proportions. Perfect eating machine. The killer tomato.
They try to.
No, don't. Just leave it.
Okay,
Don't even explain it.
All right,
Just
fair.
leave it right there.
that's a fair point.
This is your view, your reality. You get to write this
I-
story, Mohammed. It's your
Exactly.
story.
Tomatoes shouldn't be a thing. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, so
I'm gonna find tomatoes in his next book. You're gonna
what?
say
No.
somebody's gonna. It's gonna be a small reference to me, and I'm gonna have to figure out the puzzle.
Ooh, maybe.
Right?
Okay. So in general, here's the thing. I think so. We went a lot off track.
We
off
did.
track, by the way.
Welcome to the show.
But this is fun, you know.
This is part of it.
Exactly.
So let me take you back on track here and ask
Okay.
you this question. You've said people get offended by your books.
Uh-huh.
Now you're somebody from the Middle East, so you're bound to offend someone, even if
Uh-huh.
it's not overseas, if it's not an audience based in the U.S. If you were writing in Arabic, or if you're writing some of the ideas that were in here, especially for me growing up in Saudi as a youth, I'd be like, this is offensive. Why are you
Okay.
talking about titans and people are worshiping them and talking about all these concepts?
Okay, that's fair.
So do you feel like in my boat it's easy because I don't have to worry about the criticism. I don't have to worry about anything that comes along and gets people riled up because people know what I am. They tune into this show. If they don't like it, they tune out.
Okay.
Do you feel like you have to be protective of anything and assume beforehand that you're not going to offend people?
I mean, here's the thing. The thing about writing, writing is an art, right? It can be misconstrued, taken out of context, just like you can do anything in life. So in general, there's no point in trying not to offend anybody because someone somewhere will find something to be offended about.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I think when I first started, by the way, this journey of publishing and writing, I couldn't find anybody else who did it. So to me, I was kind of figuring out my own path, and that was an extremely frustrating process, I would say, and that's why I think I made. In general, I think I made a promise that I am always going to support writers and authors and artists in Bahrain. Generally, I think with my time, with anything that I can, we have a support group of some sort. So whatever question it is, anything that I can do to help, I will.
All right.
Find us. We do exist.
So this is the thing. I found you guys a few years back. Apparently, you tell me that's a different group than the one you were a part of. That's a Facebook group.
Okay.
So we're not going to talk about that because apparently you said
No.
it was a scam.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right? But we're
Okay.
not going to mention who they are, so they can't do anything about it.
I mean,
we're not. You don't say the name.
no names. But here's the thing. I think there is a general conception of people that once you pay for something, there has to be a certain value that you add. And I think my problem with the idea of charging anybody, specifically writers, because I am so protective of that, because I feel like there are a lot of people who get scammed by a lot of corporations and publishers out there that basically pry on their money.
Okay.
They charge, I think, $2,000, $3,000 to do simple things that you can do for free. And that's the idea. And people assume that once I have a company, okay, I was about to name drop, but
Okay.
okay, I have to be careful.
Yes. You can get sued. Because it's
Okay.
not fun, is
I mean,
it?
they still call me. I don't
See,
understand why.
you can go back and rewrite
Okay.
this and re-edit this, okay? I can't do that when I'm on the air.
Fair.
When I'm
Okay.
on radio. How does it feel?
Very stressful.
Very
Let me tell you
stressful.
that.
No, but in this format, we can. So
Exactly.
don't worry about it. In that sense,
So-
don't be stressed out.
Okay.
Have fun. We're going through it.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's
No,
watching
no,
this.
it's fine, man.
Right. So you let's just set an example here for everybody that
Okay.
would like to get into the writing process. You've had a support group and you know people that would help you
I
out.
created one.
Okay,
it
so
didn't exist before.
When you
That's the
started
thing.
6 years ago,
Yeah.
was that
There-
officially
I-
when you started? Or were you writing with a group before that?
I mean, here's the thing. I used to write since I was a kid. Like the first story I wrote was about I think an astronaut called Leo that went to Mars and discovered it's crawling with life, and he was trying to get treaties done and stuff. And I think by the time I finished it, my brother's wife actually told me, "Oh, our professor in college kind of writes. So do you mind if I show him this?" And I was just I think 7 or 6 years old. And I was like, "Sure." That was so exciting. I still haven't received it back. So I think by nature I think I was always a storyteller, right? I enjoy telling stories and kind of taking readers through a journey, because that's, to me, it's always going to be an experience.
So could you
And
not find mentors and people that were ahead of you
Nothing.
here? Nothing.
Nobody.
Nobody existed.
Nobody. There was no platform whatsoever. And I think that's the difficult part of it. I think because part of it is I want to be the one that actually does that. I want to be the person who tries things and fails. And that's why, by the way, I post everything I know on my website, on my blog. I don't keep secrets because it is a generally understood concept that authors do not compete with one another, because there is no way two authors can write the same story. They can have the same idea, same concept, but it's always going to be different.
Yeah, but you can definitely compete for the title of Bahrain's first fantasy writer.
I mean, why should you?
You shouldn't, but apparently that's a thing that people covet. Apparently my news of you coming on the show has surprised people.
No. don't go there.
Okay.
Don't go there.
All right, so
I mean-
without going into that realm, do you feel like it is competitive then in Bahrain? People do look at it like it, because from the creative fields that I've been in, there's been a surprising amount of ego, considering that very little money is involved, if any.
I mean, generally, I think here's the thing. The cold, hard truth about writing is forget about if you write to make money, you're going to be so disappointed, because it's going to take you a long time until you actually either break even or make a profit. And I think over the years, I've published, I think, so Titan Lore 2 is going to be my 4th full novel. And I think 6 or 7 short stories, I'm not sure. Anyways, so it took me about, I think, 3 years or close to 4 years to actually turn a profit and get the process down. And I think generally what people don't understand is you can't publish a book and expect it to sell.
Yeah.
And even traditionally published authors are actually figuring this out now, that their publishers are not going to market them forever.
Right.
You're expected to do some of the legwork as well. That's why they're pushing everybody to build their own newsletter, which is a very core backbone of the author, honestly.
And do you feel like some of the people that you meet now, after you've set up this support group and the network of people that you know, from the younger people that come to you and can see you as someone that's now taken the steps forward, you're a mentor for them, do they feel, are they resistant to take on so many hats and to play so many parts?
I mean, see, it's difficult because honestly, I don't understand. Because to me, it's different. Because I never took holidays or days off work to just go out and have fun and spend it with friends. I don't do that. I just work. I always try to take days off when I have a big release coming off, so I can focus all my energy and all my efforts in there. So generally, I think people underestimate the amount of work that it takes.
Yeah.
And because I come from an entrepreneurial background, and I work in sales and marketing as well, so I understand the concepts, and I think.
So you have a little bit of an advantage in that sense. You've actually spent some time in that world, but it doesn't feel as weird of a transition for you, or do you still hesitate, as in you're not fully invested in one aspect over the other?
Here's the thing. I think, like I mentioned before, the 3 hats that an indie author has, right?
Yeah.
So after the writer writes the story, the marketeer has to figure out how to market it.
Yeah.
And exactly, there are a lot of, let's say, shortcuts that you can take. So I did the work. It's posted on my website. Go figure it out. Like, don't start from scratch. Get my knowledge. Get everything I know. You can. I mean, the challenging part is that I think when I started, I usually counted the hours it takes me to explain someone what I did entirely. But now it's getting to be a bit long. So
Okay.
I feel that people can take that out of context as well.
And you
So-
don't charge anybody for this
No,
wisdom, for this experience.
no,
Okay,
I
so
don't.
what are some of the traps that people have fallen into? Because I've seen it happen where even in other fields, it's like, oh, come take my workshop.
Can you see my smirk?
I can see your smirk.
Okay.
Now, I'm wondering, is that smirk going to translate into some drama?
No.
No drama alerts here. Oh, I need Saud for this. Come on, man. Saud gives me the juicy shit. Come on. What do you got
So,
for me?
I don't appreciate you throwing shade on people who
On
vape, by the
vapors.
way. So, yeah.
Hey, man, I told you. If you're vaping in a business setting,
Okay.
it's not a good sign.
It's a substitute for smoking. It's still bad, but not as
You
bad.
shouldn't be smoking at that age anyway. At 18, you
True,
should not
man.
be vaping.
I mean, here's the thing. If you vape, you're 18 years old and you think you can do an event, think again.
Right?
Rethink your priorities, please.
Check out the last episode with Reem and Saud from The Cult if you want to know what we're talking about in context.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Okay.
So in this case, you've seen people fall into certain traps when they want to develop their writing, they want to develop their publishing skills or their marketing skills. What are some of the traps you can help people out with that you know about in Bahrain specifically?
Okay. So generally, I think self-publishing doesn't cost you a thing. A writer should never pay to publish his work. A writer should always be paid. There's the difference. So I think there are a lot of, let's say, let me sum it up this way. There are 3 specific publishing routes. 2 if you discount the scammy one, but I'll mention it. Okay. There's traditionally published authors, which go through the process of finding an agent. And then the agent sells the book to a publisher, and the publisher takes care of the editing, the marketing, the cover, and everything. So, and the indie authors, they do it all themselves. And we utilize platforms like Amazon, like Ingram, or wow, this is embarrassing.
Okay.
I should be the publishing expert, right?
You should be. You just made that claim anyway, but
I mean, here's the thing. I don't claim to be an expert of anything.
no,
by
not
the way.
necessarily
So,
an expert.
Generally,
But you outed your claim by
mean,
saying it. So
yeah. So,
don't worry
so
about it.
generally, so there are different. We call it print-on-demand publishers.
Right, okay.
So the process is very smooth, very straightforward. You publish the manuscript, assuming you have one. You should take care of the editing, everything aside from that, which is a different story completely. Always frickin' edit your book. You are not as good as you think.
What do you mean by the edit? Do you mean say some people don't even go back and redraft?
No. People,
No.
I swear to God, this is one of the
Like
basic
first draft.
first draft published. I'm a great author.
La la la.
I swear. And the challenge with that is because you try to explain to them, see, it's not your fault. You might be the best at spelling or writing.
But what is their logic? Is that they didn't make a mistake? No way.
No way. Because, and here's the thing. No, I read my book 3 times over. it's without a single mistake. No, because your brain can't see the mistakes.
Yeah.
You read what you think is there, but it's not there.
Your brain is filling in gaps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's I think one of the prime mistakes that happen to authors. The second one is falling through the trap of the hybrid publishers.
What does that mean? Some kind of
So
mutant?
we spoke about traditionally published authors,
Right.
about independent authors.
Okay.
There's a third category, which basically they utilize the print-on-demand concepts to publish authors and charge them for it. And that's the part I struggle with.
Okay.
And I think there is a specific company wherein I began to research about publishing and all that different routes. I fell in one of their traps where they got my number and they kept calling persistently throughout the years. They still call me, and I'm like, guys, you don't know shit about my region. You don't know shit about my audience. You have nothing. You can offer me nothing.
They have your email. And
But they have my number.
details that they
And
can-
for some reason,
Yeah.
they keep calling even when I ridicule all of their arguments. Like, what can you offer me that I can't do myself?
Right.
We can do marketing. I can do my own marketing. We can do, I don't know, like, you can set your own price. That's already a thing.
But we know how to do that better.
Exactly.
How? How do you do it? We don't know, but we'll figure it out better. Why?
So I think the general, I think
But
it's-
are they like an entity that exists in the region, or are they like overseas?
very recently, one exists in this region.
Oh, okay. So this is something that happens here as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I feel I need to warn authors often,
Hmm.
and I always do that. So don't pay to publish your books. Just do it yourself.
Yeah.
So, and the process, here's the thing. If you don't want to do it, you want to pay someone to do it, that's a different case. But
Yeah.
you should know you should not have to.
So what are the odds of somebody actually getting picked up by a publishing house?
It traditionally,
Yeah.
it's very slim, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
But do you usually go through years of being an indie author, then
Yes.
somebody's...
no. Here's the thing. I mean, in very recently there was a stigma about being independent, where it's like if you go the self-publishing route, you are doomed. No
Yeah.
agents will want a book that has been published before.
But what
I
other route was there? You just send
Exactly.
your...
There was no route. It was a controlled environment, and they had so much leverage and so much control over the process that it's starting to fade right now, and that's freaking them out
So
because
these gatekeepers would expect you to
They
come
don't
with...
exist.
Okay, so back in the day, they'd expect you to come to like an expo and show your work, or to send it in, and then maybe somebody reads it.
I mean, generally, see, the standard process is that you would email, you would query authors.
Yeah.
Sorry, you'd query agents. And if someone bites, they ask for the manuscript, and you have to wait 6 or 7 months for them to read it and take a decision whether they're going to take you on as an author and represent you or not. And generally, I think it can be a bit more complicated because sometimes agents don't like simultaneous submissions. So you have to wait for him to decline and then approach other agents.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
That's a long time.
It's a very long process.
So you might as well be writing another book whilst you're doing this.
Exactly. Some writers actually write the entire trilogy, and then they try to find an agent because it's better to sell a series than a standalone book.
Yeah.
And the process, honestly, is crucial. It's crucifying. So our souls are crushed during this phase.
And then it's just the matter of like, oh, no, he's from this region and he's not talking about
Exactly.
this, therefore I'm not interested.
Sometimes it's challenging.
Yeah,
you know?
I can see that would be the case. Like, I feel like with at least the independent route is that once you build your own core audience, you know, I remember somebody saying this about, you know, if you're, even just if you're a YouTuber or if you're anything else, if you have 1,000 loyal followers and they actually like your work and they feel like, you know what, this guy speaks my language, I understand him, I feel I relate to him, I relate to his stories, what he's putting out there, I'll pay to read this. That's
Exactly.
1,000 people.
And here's the thing. I want to tell you a story because I think generally there was a quote that was often being thrown on Twitter and everywhere. It's like the quote goes like, "I struggle with people who spend like $10 to $15 on a cup of coffee every day, but stress spending $5 on a book that took 1 year to finish and finalize.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Does that drive you crazy? Like, do you feel like you go to Starbucks or somewhere else and you're just like, fuckers?
Here's the thing.
These fuckers.
It used to, and I'll tell you why. In one of my newsletters that I send to my readers, I used that quote and I got a reply. I forgot the name, but however, he told me that I just want to let you know what some of your readers might think. Right. Some of us cannot afford it.
Right.
Because we have to wait for a long time for a very good deal. You know, it has to be a bargain. It has to be, a bundle, a bunch of books. But because some of us actually cannot afford it, and not everyone can afford the $15 coffee.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But there are people you'd see at one of my shows that they're literally buying the coffee in front of you, and you know what they're worth. You know what they spend on.
To each his own.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying that it's I don't want to judge and shame.
Yeah.
Specifically, people that I know would like. If you don't feel like something's quality, don't pay for it.
Books are I think there's another stigma with books generally, and here's the thing: no one knows this better than writers and readers here locally. Yeah. Because in general, I remember a conversation I had with someone where I asked them, "Oh, so by the way, what kind of books do you read?" And they looked at me and they said, "Ew, I don't read." And I looked at them and I was like, "You're not supposed to be proud when you say that." Okay. So,
but that's reality. That I'm okay with dealing with. Like for example, if somebody like when we do a stand-up show or we do any kind of improv show or anything else. And I say, I don't feel like what we're offering is value for people to pay at the door. So I'll be like, just waive the fee, let them have fun, let them come in. But there are people that they're so entitled that even when a show is free, as in they can walk out, they don't have to demand anything. They will sit there
and criticize,
or even just have a conversation or be on their phone. And if you call them out on that, and they would say, "Oh well, I'm not interested. I don't like the show." It's like, okay, get the fuck out. It's a free show. You paid for crap. You paid and you paid zero for crap. So in my head, it's just about that. It's specifically that.
So,
and yeah.
Here's the thing. I think when a reader kind of invests their hard-earned cash on a book, that book generally has, let's say, a goal to do. And most people, by the way, those that tried to read one book, they couldn't finish it and just stopped reading altogether, thinking that reading is just not for them. I want to where's the people's scam? Here.
It's right there. It's on you right now.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Okay.
It's not your fault that you can't read.
No. It's not your fault. Here's the thing, because I think there are very like the genres that exist, right? So for me, I can't stand nonfiction.
Yeah.
For me, nonfiction is non-thank you.
Yeah.
So in general, when someone picks up a book, usually it's always the author's responsibility to glue them to the pages.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Try another one.
I was going to say something different about but it's pretty much the same meaning, which is I used to say to people that told me, I don't read. It's impressive that you read. And I'd say, like, no, there's a lot of these books that I don't read. And they'd say, but you read some. I said, well, the ones that speak to me. So when I first started trying to read, nothing really was clicking with me. Everything that I would pick up that I'd say, this is not for me. This is too wordy. This is for me. But then a specific writer or a specific genre or a specific type of book, that's when I found it. I couldn't stop not reading it.
Exactly.
And then I found the ones that I thought I unlocked reading. I thought that was like something, like you got the skill points, the experience went boom, you got the level. Now I have 1 point in reading. I can read anything. Then I realized, no. I can't read anything. Okay. I have to read the things that either my mind has begun to grasp, can see the depth in or the scope in or understand, or I just stick to the things that I already like, and those are the ones that I can read. So whenever I talk to anybody in the future, I just say, no, maybe you just haven't found the book for you. and that
Yeah.
means anything. Maybe it's you like historical fiction. That's maybe your thing. And
Very
if
true.
you were reading that, you'd feel special about it. But you're still a dick if you come to one of my shows and you haven't paid jack shit at the door. Zero dinar, nothing.
still complain.
And you still complain. I have no sympathy for you.
Abdullah Nazar.
Yeah. He did it. He did it, not me. All right. So that being said, right? What do you, I want to come back full circle to what you said before, with the fact that you say a lot of people will say they want to support local artists and local creatives. Now you've talked about how difficult the process can be for somebody going through the independent publishing route. Now getting people to actually see it at a local level, how come it was easier for you to find the support overseas than it was here?
I mean, in specifically, here's the thing. My books were listed in a very big and popular library that I will not name because,
Okay.
because I'm not sure. Should I?
Is it a company?
It is.
Is it-
very well known.
It's okay. You can name it. You just don't trash it. You say allegedly, or
Okay,
you,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm going to say exactly what happened.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to twist or exaggerate or do anything else,
Okay.
right? So in general, my books were listed in Jashan Mall, which is one of the biggest bookshops locally.
That's where I first found your book, actually. Dragon
Okay.
Tooth. Yeah.
Fair enough. How did you find it?
It was there at the counter at the cashier.
Okay, so that's the experience of book one, right? So essentially what it became to, because I think because the way that I published my book, it was back then it was through CreateSpace, which is a company that no longer exists. Unfortunately, they merged with KDP. But generally, I think the process was that I have to bring the physical copies and have them resell it, technically, right? So my argument was, why are you hiding books by local authors in a corner where a lot of people came to me and said, we went specifically to look for your book. We asked them for the book. We asked for the title. They said, it's here. We can't find it. So that was very painful to me because number one, it's very damaging to an author's reputation. That's number one. Number two, why should I bring you business and you do not do the same for me?
Yeah.
You should give us a better display,
Yeah.
honestly.
Was it their intent to incentivize local art writers to publish and
I mean,
distribute it at their venue? Or
here's the thing. I think after my book was displayed, I think a lot of local authors figured out the possibility and figured out the process of actually displaying their books at places like that, right?
Okay.
So I think that generally played a part in it, because I think in essence they were worried about the quality of the books, which I completely understand, by the way, because not every book not every indie book can go against traditionally published books, because normally those are with giant budgets. They go through multiple and dozens of rounds of edits, and a single round consists of 3 editing types. So it's an unfair comparison, right?
Yeah.
But that's why I pushed my process to be as close to the real thing as possible, because and generally this is one of the other mistakes that writers, by aspiring authors, let's say, fall into. They pick up a book at a library. They see the language, the style, the let's say the approach, the flow of the book, and they see the cover, and they go, there is no way in hell my idea is going to be that. And I'm here to tell them, you're wrong. It can be.
Camera's not on you right now, but I'll do
Damn
it.
it.
You're wrong. It can be. You're wrong.
My people's can.
The people's cam will be back at you right now. It's there.
Okay. So generally, I think that's the thing that aspiring authors should realize. It's a process. Here's the thing. Writer's block does not exist. It's all in your head.
Yeah. But what scares them or intimidates them the most? Is it the flow of the words, the fact that they're not native speakers to that genre?
It's a combination of both, I'd say. But generally, here's the thing: authors are really scared when they stop writing, because it's a very painful process for us to force ourselves to write, and that's the discipline that you have to build as a writer, right? Especially if you can't do it full time.
It's really weird, right? I don't
It
understand
is.
it because it's the same for me when I'm scripting or I'm doing anything like writing jokes or bits for the stage, and just sitting down and plopping my head and saying, okay, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., I don't care how long it takes. I have to figure out at least a paragraph. I have to figure out something, a concept. I have to brainstorm and not get distracted. And there's some resistance to starting. But once you start,
It goes.
it flows.
And basically, here's the thing: why authors go through writer's block. It's always a process problem. It's a problem with your process because you have to trust your process more than yourself.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, people stop writing because they have no idea where the story is going, and you have to go back to the drawing board. And there are a lot of authors like Stephen King who
Yeah.
do not believe in outlining. And that I feel
We'll explain outlining to people.
and
to me.
basically a book outline is basically a general conception of what the story is going to be, right?
Okay.
So some people do it extremely by chapter, by idea, by concept, and others have a lax version of it. However, it still exists. You have to outline. There's no escaping it.
Yeah.
And the quotes that people use, oh, look at Stephen King. He doesn't outline. He's Stephen fucking King.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to.
He probably has an outline in his head.
Exactly.
He just doesn't know how to say it.
He just goes, he just
Yeah.
writes, and that's another trap. Don't compare yourself to another author, especially Stephen King.
Yeah.
I remember when I was publishing a book, me and a bunch of authors were working really hard on marketing to set up pre-orders and everything for months, and then suddenly there's an alert. A new book by Stephen King went to pre-order. There's no cover. There's no description. #1 bestseller and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not fair. You won. Stop. Stephen, stop.
Well, he's getting back. He's offending people these days. He's getting backlash for defending, what's her name from Harry Potter?
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling. She was getting into some controversial stuff as well. We're not going to get into it, but just if it helps, if that's some karma for you to feel that for a bit.
I love Harry Potter, by the way.
Yeah.
I love the books. I love the movies, but I do not enjoy the author.
As a person, you mean?
As a person, I disagree with a lot of, let's say, approaches that she takes when she discloses certain things and she
What do
makes
you mean by that? By comments on society and culture, or do you mean like as stuff relating to her books?
everything. No, not see. Books are a different story, right? But everything that you do as an author reflects on all of us. So in general, I think if you try to change the narrative, change the let's say the story to fit a certain idea, and yes, I am talking about PewDiePie. I have a very big problem with someone who manipulates a narrative to fit into a very, let's say, racist approach.
Right.
Let's say. So what you are doing is you're not disclosing the full truth. You are sticking to an argument. You refuse to learn the facts. Don't talk. Don't make the argument. You're not supposed to.
Right.
Right?
But is it or why do we expect them to have to represent everybody? That's the
I don't
point.
know, honestly. And here's
Is
the
it
thing.
because of their platform?
I generally think that we have to hold people accountable to the concepts and opinions they have based on certain things. So when it comes to writing, sure, ask authors. When it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, when it comes to, let's say, problems at a society level, don't ask authors.
Yeah.
Normally, we just Google stuff, by the way.
But if they say it out loud and people get offended, is that their mistake, or is it just people should just
There's a
basically tell them
difference.
to?
See,
What?
there's a difference.
Okay.
So if you generalize, let's say, a stereotype, if you alter a narrative and people call you out on it and you get them blocked, do you get it? Okay.
Is this a
Don't do it. Don't.
specific person that you have had a relationship with?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, something has happened in your, I guess.
Well,
your past
I have a
history.
lot of stories with J.K. Rowling, by the way.
Really?
I've had an interaction with her, and it was
A personal or a Twitter reaction?
a Twitter incident, let's say. But in general, here's the thing. And I'm really sorry, but you're going to have to edit this out. There's an internet meme about J.K. Rowling, that J.K. Rowling is a cunt.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I'm editing it out, but but I've pretty much established that this show has no edits. Yeah, you okay there?
I'm
Don't
fine.
worry, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure something out tomorrow when I am cancelled. Okay.
Don't worry. They'll pick on you later.
Okay.
You need to learn how to use your brown card. Okay.
Am I brown? I don't.
You're pretty brown.
Okay.
You're brown enough for them. Okay.
Okay.
White people aren't gonna judge you right now. Okay.
I mean-
I get it, America. I know you're sensitive. I know you have to deal with a lot of stuff right now. I know that the people in the States as well are actually trying to be all about the PC culture. Everything needs to be done right. But we're living in a world right now in the Middle East where a lot of what we've experienced is a lot of inequality for a very long time, and a lot of things that we're still struggling with that is pretty much the 1950s. So judging a lot of things that are said here with that metric is just unrealistic, because we have to live in a world where we can't afford to just not talk to the people that offend us.
Very true.
I think there's a privilege that exists in the U.S. at the moment that a lot of people don't speak about, which is the privilege of being able to just say, I don't talk to you, I don't see you, I don't know you. And unfortunately, I don't feel like we have that here. And
True. However, I think generally people in the U.S. are upset that, although that is the fact, there are a specific, let's say, group of people that are being targeted, and they feel sick about the situation that they have been, because although people can talk about free speech, it's one thing to actually uphold it, and I think that in a way has not been implemented fully. Because here's the thing, and people kind of forget this too. How long do you think slavery ended?
it's a very short while ago, technically speaking, for rights. If you're talking specifically about rights, if you're talking about the rest of the world, it hasn't
Officially.
ended. Yeah.
Officially.
If you're talking about the rest of the world, there's a lot of types of modern slavery that still exist.
So
Yeah.
I have a good quote for you about that. But first, so here's the thing. I think as a society and as a culture specifically, we figured out that slavery is bad. Let's end it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So then, what happened next?
In what
Did
sense?
we analyze it? Did we study it? Do we teach it? Or did we just ignore it? It even existed.
Oh, I feel like there's certain cultures that completely ignore it. So, for example, I don't like this. There's this idea that's come specifically from the States, that slavery has only taken one shape or one form, okay, and it's racist. Now, the problem I have with that is that doesn't answer the question, which is how do you deal with slavery that does not share the problems of race?
But I think there's a quote in Titan Lord, by the way, about slavery.
Oh, is this the scene at the market?
Yes.
Yes.
It goes like
People do it willingly.
People do it willingly because I think corporations have figured out how to make the cage invisible, and the chains just disappear. So
I felt like you were making a political comment there.
it wasn't necessarily a political comment. It's more of a feeling that I feel we as a society, we can screw up sometimes, but we have to study our past. We cannot ignore it. We can't pretend slavery was not a thing. That is not a thing. We can't just move on and pretend nothing happened and hope that future generations forget catastrophes.
Do you think that a part of the problem isn't just that people look at old stories, old experiences, and just say that didn't happen, or are we also just ignoring how complicated it was? So, do you, for example, as a writer, do you feel like the books, Huckleberry Finn and all those things that are notorious for having the N-word in them,
Okay.
should they be censored, or are they actually something that shows the reality of what it was like to live in the South at that time?
I feel like it depends on the context. right? So a Quentin Tarantino movie to show us how, let's say, the situation was when it happened. I think the severity of it justifies the use of the N-word, right? And I feel like I have to go back to that Leonardo DiCaprio story where he was actually struggling because of the time, how many times he was saying the N-word, and then Samuel L. Jackson pulled him and said, "Can I say it? Motherfucker, this is just another Tuesday for us." So in general, I think when you put things on a canvas, you as an artist are not the one, let's say, saying it, right? So for example, if I talk about slavery in the book, it's not that I condone slavery. It's I'm making a statement, and I am trying to get people to understand the concepts and the consequences of having these concepts, which, again, just so nobody takes this out of context, this does not mean that people can use the N-word in books and anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
But in general, this is just, I mean, do authors or artists have a license to do whatever they want?
I think they should. I think we're not politicians. I don't like the idea of pretending like we have an insurmountable level of power that could not just be adjusted by having the person who's reading the book make up their own mind. I think that it's good actually for somebody to be, I guess, a little bit affected by bad ideas.
Uh-huh.
So if you come across somebody that actually has a bad idea, and
Okay.
let's assume the worst nightmare for somebody that wants to make sure that all speech is regulated.
Okay.
Which is you have somebody that's espousing negative ideology and they're talking about slavery and they're talking about all this stuff. If you don't have that out there, you cannot build an immunity to it. And what I've noticed growing up in a culture and growing up in Saudi, in a place where people try to regulate it completely and censor what people say and how they think in a lot of ways, right?
Okay.
And I'm talking specifically by the fact that, you have a level of regulation when it comes to the content that you can consume, whether there's certain books, certain video games, certain movies. What you'd end up doing is people don't get a tool set developed at a young age where they can actually dissect ideas and concepts and make up their own mind. What ends up happening is this vacuum where it's like you've raised a kid in a bubble where they've never experienced any bacteria, no viruses whatsoever. And then one day they get exposed to somebody or with an idea that is so powerful that they don't have any tools to resist it. And now this idea, though, has taken on the shape and form of something new, that none of the correctness and the censorship, none of that was able to actually be able to predict it, if that makes sense. So you can say, yeah, this is bad. This is bad. We're not going to talk about this topic. This is infringing on people's rights. This is doing this. This is doing this. This is engendering hate. But you're not going to be able to predict the hate of the future.
True, very true.
There's going to be something new that comes down the line. And if people are not able to kind of build the tools to look at somebody's ideas, listen to them, and figure out, I think this is where he's kind of telling the truth, and this is where this person is lying.
Exactly. And I think as a society, we have to be very careful with that. So if we agree with someone, we don't worship them. We don't agree with every single concept. It's not a prerequisite, right? So you can agree with some of the things that I say and disagree with some of the things that I say too. It's fine. And generally, I think what we have to reach, and here's the thing, this is why I take logic and common sense in a very, let's say, underlined stance, because if you want to talk about logic, a couple of 1,000 years ago, people sacrificed humans to appease the gods because it was raining.
Yeah.
Because to them, it made sense. The sky is raining. I have to kill someone and give them as a sacrifice to appease the gods.
You know what's an even creepier thought, a scarier thought, is that's been more common for a longer period of time than our time here, where we consider ourselves, finally civilized, finally doing the right thing. Like, you take any person from the eras before, and this is one of the things I said on stage where I was trying to equate that, the concepts that we're scared of today, they're a lot more complicated than we give them credit for. Not that they're good things, but that they're complicated. So if you brought a person from the past and you said, hey, slavery is racist. If you said that to a colonial, he'd be like, oh, no, fuck you. We're the ultimate race, right? Well, I don't believe in that.
This
But
is
then-
how it's always been.
This is how it's always been. But then if you take it to a Roman or an Arab back in the ancient days, and you told them, hey, slavery is racist. And he'd be like, no. What do you mean racist? I take everybody equally. Equal opportunity slavery.
Equal. That's a good one.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So things are not as they can still be bad or good on a different varying level of spectrum, but we have to be honest about the levels of complication involved, and that's the reason why people back then were able to justify so many things, because this spectrum of right and wrong is so confusing when it's not in the right context.
Exactly. And context changes for so many times. Like, I think coming up with the new normal, for example, right? So generally, I think we as a society have evolved so much. We have a long way to go still.
Yeah.
But I think we're on the right track.
I think we are.
Yeah. Because I think here's the thing. I've had a lot of people contact me and say that I am shocked that there is someone, a writer like you who is based here, born and raised, and still manages to reach an audience, an international audience. And that's the idea that I want to...
What are they shocked about? Just the fact that you were able to reach, or is it just that your ideas specifically are able
In
to?
general, here's the thing. Writers, our audience are always international, right? So
Right.
my answer to them is always, why are you limiting yourself? Your audience is international.
Yeah.
So you're not restricted based on where you are. We have the internet for some reason.
Because of Al Gore.
Was it Al Gore, really?
Apparently.
No, I
I've
thought
never looked into it.
It was
but that
invented by the
claim.
CIA, I
Yeah,
guess.
but if you ask Al Gore, he was responsible for why it came to being. Apparently, he takes credit for all of it.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass. I don't know. But whenever somebody asks, it's Al Gore.
That sounds like Al Gore, but...
Right? But yeah, you're saying that you have the internet now. You don't need to, even with this platform, you don't need to localize. You don't need to, you can find your audience.
Be yourself. And here's the thing. I remember a lot of influencers right now that have reached a stage in their career where they are making so much money. They're so successful that I was in the same room with them when someone told them, quit YouTube.
Right.
If you want to be taken seriously by the industry, quit YouTube.
And this was people who were working in marketing and sales and that stuff, or what kind of industries were they working
I
in?
could name him, but I'm not sure.
I think I know.
Do you?
Maybe.
Do you, Khalid?
First name R ends with the J as well. Last name J.
No.
No. And then maybe no. Okay. Maybe it's in gaming.
No.
Is it? No. Okay,
I
never mind.
breathe creativity. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay.
It should be obvious. I guess.
Okay. Fair
But
enough.
honestly, the guy is fantastic. He's done some amazing work. But I remember being in the same room where he asked a certain question to a director, and that director told him, "If you want to be serious about this, quit YouTube." So he's now at what 3 million subscribers. So ignore people who tell. See, the naysayers. I remember this.
Is this person had a recent controversy on Twitter? Did he put a picture up and then had to take it down?
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
Okay.
You've lost me, sir. I respect his work. I respect the fact that he's went on that journey.
But people are allowed to screw up.
Of course they are.
that's
We've made fun of him on the show here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
That's
not
interesting.
just for one video.
Okay.
For one specific one
That's fair.
where he dressed up as
I said, what? What do you do?
with a creepy mustache.
I did not see
I'll
that.
show you the video.
Okay,
Don't worry,
okay.
we're not going to talk about it now.
Okay.
I'll show you the video later.
Okay,
But
so-
in any case, all right. So you're saying they definitely have had success. They've definitely unaccounted for. He's made waves. He's made ripples across the region.
I'll tell you something. And this is a funny story, by the way, because when I was writing my first book, Dragon Tooth, right? I remember I had to deal with a lot of people who were just comparing, like, don't compare books. So they told me, okay, you're working on a book. Can I read a chapter? And I was new, so I didn't know any better. I was like, yeah, of course, I'm excited. Someone wants to read my book. Read. And then they go, this reads like Harry Potter because this part, no, it doesn't. Harry Potter has wizards. I have dragons. Fuck off. So, and I had to deal with that so many times where people kind of went to the negative routes, right? Immediately. And once I published the book, once I hit that button, publish, and generally it takes a few days for Amazon to publish. Anyways, so once I click that button, immediately the comments that I receive are different.
Okay.
Those same naysayers came to me and said, I always knew you could do it.
Oh, really?
I remember when we were little, you showed me a story you wrote. I'm like, I didn't. I remember.
Just don't forget, I bought that book before I knew you.
God damn it.
Okay? Don't forget. I have a piece of history right there.
Okay, it's not available for sale, by the way.
No,
so.
but this was from Jashin Mall. You can see in the back. You can see how much I paid for it as well.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was
Fair
an
enough.
early supporter.
Okay.
Without even
Thank
realizing
you.
it. Without even realizing it, right? So now you...
Why did you buy it? Did it grab your attention? Did you know it was by a local author?
The second I knew it was a local author writing fantasy, I didn't care if it was crap or if it was
Okay.
good. I wanted to find out who this person was. That's it.
That's so cool.
And-
And I feel like this is a good time as well to discuss how we first met. How about that?
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
ahead.
So where's my people scam?
There. It's right there.
So people, when I first met Khalid, I heard him on the radio a few times, right? And this was during the times when I was actually part of the alumni executive board at Polytechnic, right? Which is my
Illuminati.
university. What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Illuminati. Okay.
It's,
Don't get me started on that bullshit.
All right.
But anyways, so I get the invite, right, to this event that is being organized and completely by the marketing department. I know what you want to say. Don't say shit. Okay. Anyways, so basically I go there. I sit with, I think, 2 other board members as well. We're sitting there, and I'm just drinking some juice and eating. And suddenly, Khalid goes on stage as a comedian and makes fun of my book. And he's like, oh, look, Dragon 2, there are magic councils. I guess there should be a union as well. And I'm just looking at this guy, and I'm like, what the fuck? Did I do something to you? What's going on? And then the funny part is when you were making those jokes, I had already published Titan Lord, and I was like,
I could tell
This
because you
is-
didn't stop plugging it during the
Exact-
show.
what did I really?
Yeah, you did. It's like, no, now it's Titan Lord.
Titan Lord. Okay. And that was the crazy part.
Yeah.
I loved that part, honestly, because here's the thing. I know that a lot of people, because I think in our region, making fun of someone is offensive, actually.
Apparently, yeah. Even when they tell you to come and make jokes about the
Yeah.
whole alumni, and I asked them.
That depends. You kind of bullied him, but
Oh, that guy, the guy that went up on stage.
Which-
he was
which
being
one?
the dick, man.
which one?
Oh, are you talking about the dean later? Who are you talking about?
Don't name drop.
There's two separate occasions.
Technically, I'm not part of the board, so I
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
care anymore. But
So to give you guys some context, there are 2 separate occasions, both with the Polytechnic thing. Okay, so the first time was an event where apparently we were doing somebody a favor. I forgot the girl's name, but she wanted us to be there because of,
she's a terrific lady, by the way.
she was really nice. I asked them, and I asked you at the time. I remember when you both were talking to me and Abdullah, and I said, "Are you guys okay with this? You okay?"
Here's the thing. There's I think even shout out to Abdullah, by the way, who, by the way, he came to me prior to the show and he said, Darish, I have an idea. I just want to run it by you. And I tried to explain to him, this is academic. This is an academic stage. It's different. So there are certain rules. You can't say the F word. You can't say this and that.
Yeah.
And you can't do jokes that are rude or offensive, right?
Okay, so
And he's like,
basically, don't talk.
no. And here's the thing. And he's like, of course, I'll tell you an idea. I have an idea to say this joke, make fun of the fact that you guys brought me back. And I'm like, don't do that. This is separate. This is a separate occasion. Please don't do that. Abdullah, please don't do that.
You know, none of this was communicated to the rest of us.
Really?
Like, I think only the...
And guess what he did next?
Just the censorship part about swearing. That was the only one that we were aware of.
Really?
But I didn't swear, except I think one word, but I thought that word... I thought that word was okay.
Was it?
I think it was shit or something. I think that was the only one. I think.
Really?
Yeah, and it slipped out. It wasn't even something.
Okay.
So a majority, I tend to not swear a lot.
Because I think...
But I roasted your dean. And
Yeah.
apparently that was wrong.
No, CEO, by the way, not the dean.
Okay. He should be able to handle it. A man of his stature.
He was honestly like because here's the thing, he didn't have any problem with it. I think the team around him
yes.
kind of felt.
I felt like the Arabs had a problem.
Yeah, and here's the thing, they came to me, they told me, and I spoke to him again.
Yeah, he's Canadian. He was nice. He took
he
it like a
was
man.
Very nice, and he's like, don't worry, people, like, you know, it's very normal. I don't worry, it's nothing. So.
Yeah, I felt like he knew where I was coming from. That's
Exactly,
why he didn't.
exactly.
But I felt like everybody that was like the middle management, and you know, they were a bit worried, and there was the one guy that was a bit worried, and that takes me to the idea of, you know, this is the realm of the difference between the writing and the stage. With the stage, it's difficult to know what kind of thing will work in a setting that you're not familiar with. And I think after that second event, which I was surprised, as Abdullah said, that they invited us back.
I asked for you by name. I swear to God, I'm like, in the initial.
I felt like the first one I bombed. I felt like I did terrible.
Here's the thing. I felt like you guys did a wonderful job. I felt that, here's the thing, comedy, specifically in this region, has to grow, or we are doomed. Because if we can't, and I think I told you this right after the show, when which, by the way, people, after the event where he made fun of my book, I went to him and I was like, hey man, can I get a picture with you? And then I think it was Matrouk or Abdullah. They were like, "Wow, look at you! You're famous." And I'm like, and you said that, no, I feel like this is something different. And I'm like, next time you make fun of my books, make fun of the recent one.
I felt like that. I think the photo was. I thought for a second, I was like, this photo's gonna be in the news tomorrow. It's gonna be like, this dick trashed the Polytechnic. Then I found out he's a nice guy. He didn't actually. I was worried that you were like that was the revenge selfie or something.
I understand. I love comedy, man. I understand it.
You know what's funny is that you're forgetting that I trashed everybody in that room.
You did.
Like even because I was looking. You know where I got Dragon Tooth from, by the way?
Why?
It was just I had to do because they told us not to talk about our material, and I told Abdullah. When he first told me before I went to meet you guys.
By the way, I think this is the most amount of times you mentioned him on the show. I think.
No, is it?
I think so.
Maybe
he should be happy. Are you happy?
I don't think he's watching anymore.
He's never happy.
I think he stopped like 10 episodes ago. But yeah, like we were talking preliminary before we met with you guys, with you and the girl, I can't remember her name. Marwa, thank you. And before the prelim to it is like we needed different material because I was telling them that all the material I had wasn't something I could use for the.
Did that just happen?
That just happened. It was all material. Editing will do magic.
Cool.
The material I was using before that point was not usable for that show, and it was very last minute for me. So I decided, okay, so I'm just gonna treat it like I'm, roasting a group of alumni. They're having fun. They're all from the marketing department. Yeah, we're gonna have fun.
But
so
I was on marketing. I didn't have anything to do with that.
I don't know. It said alumni marketing, whatever.
Did they actually tell you, like, make fun of some of the achievements of the alumni? Did they tell you that?
But what else am I going to make fun of?
Okay, that's cool.
Like, usually, most people would say that, like in the Arab world, if you're not making jokes about the topics I make jokes about, like they didn't want to do that, then I'll just make jokes where first I get to feel the room. Okay, so I'll do what they like, which everybody, for some reason, they want me to trash somebody.
Okay.
Like that's the number one request. Zufni, Zufni.
Exactly.
Like they want you to just
And I
destroy.
think I said this to Abdallah as well. Like, I want Khalid. If he wants me to write an official letter, signed and stamped, I will give it to him. But he
Okay.
has to come.
All right. There
He
you
has
go.
to be here.
And this was based off of your reaction on what I did in that show,
Exactly.
right? Okay, so
I felt like you guys were really good, and I felt
we
like
tried.
you
I
needed a
didn't really
platform.
feel happy about that one. I felt better about the one that was after, even though people were much more offended by that. But that one I actually liked. But the first one,
Mm-hmm.
I was going through the list of accomplishments from Polytechnic.
Okay.
And your book was on there.
Really? Is
that's
there a
why-
list?
There's a list. There was an
Okay.
article that was written, or it was part of the school's blog or something, and they're talking about like a Sprigget or something that was invented, and I needed to list the things that were considered the achievements.
Uh-huh.
So my thing that was funny in my head was the fact that this is the marketing alumni, and these are the things they're talking
Okay.
about. It's not really great marketing where everything you have on there is a book by, let's say, the Dragon Tooth Council, and then the Sprigget, or whatever the invention was called at the time. It had a really funny
Okay.
way of describing that sounded very, very, let's just say, inappropriate for that blog. It just didn't have the right language to it.
I mean, here's the thing. I think if you look back at the achievements of Bahrain Polytechnic, you're going to be very impressed, because I think there are so many entrepreneurs, there are so many inventors, there's authors, and a lot of people
Okay.
who came out of that specific environment stronger, better, and just able to achieve.
I feel
So-
like we've gone through the process, and now you've gone into your political mode, and you're
Okay.
and you're going bullshit on me. So
It's-
I'm not gonna
okay.
accept that.
I wholeheartedly believe what I said.
We're gonna put you into the hot seat.
Okay.
Ahmed. Why are you defending Polytechnic, Mohammed?
I don't know. I don't like Polytechnic, by
Are
the
you
way.
scared of them?
No.
Are you scared of the Canadian CEO/dean?
No, he's a terrific guy.
Is he?
Is he is?
What's his name, Mohammed?
Jeff?
Why is Jeff scary, Mohammed?
Jeff is not scary.
Jeff is nice.
Jeff is nice.
All right, so everybody likes comedy, Mohammed.
Most.
Why were the people laughing in the back not allowed to come into the room, Mohammed?
Which ones?
In the way back, the students that didn't want to come in.
Were there? Were there really?
Was it a setup, Mohammed?
No.
Did you like our comedy?
Yes.
Were you threatened by our comedy?
I was nervous by it.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Mohammed, how many people have you offended with this book?
A bunch, I guess. I'm not.
How many women have you offended?
Who? Titan Lord? No, that's my redemption.
That's your redemption.
Yes.
Why are there so many female characters in this book, Mohammed?
Because I feel female characters are underrepresented. in
So
fact.
many important, powerful female characters. All of them.
Because yay, women.
Yes, so many empowering ones.
Uh-huh.
Why not a single weak one, Mohammed? You don't like vulnerable women?
What?
You like a harem full of strong MMA type women?
No. That's not that's not the thing. Here's actually here's the thing. Women, Titan Lord, in general, I think because it's such a ruthless environment, right? Everyone has to adapt to a certain degree, right? So there are so many people who are just running off with their kids and that have nothing to do with the fighting, nothing to do with the storyline, but they exist.
So you're saying that the women in your book have to take on the natural roles of being a motherly carer? Is that it? She has
I
to
ju-
stay at home and fight and take care of the kids? Why aren't the men taking care of the kids in this book, Mohammed?
Let me think. Was there? Isaiah took care of Vendel.
Perfect eating machine. The Killer Tomato.
So last question for you, Mohammed. Since we've talked about your inspiration from history and everything that goes with the Romans and some of the other things, what are your plans for the future? And is there a hope that you might one day write a book that is inspired by our mythology in the Middle East? Will you ever be the Neil Gaiman that we need here?
I mean, here's the thing. Who knows what the future holds? For me, see, I have to do what I do, right? And in general, I don't like to fit in a certain mold, because I think as an artist, you don't like restrictions. And let's say conceptions that people have of you or expectations. And I feel like it's a very dangerous trap to fall into. Whereas, is there going to be a Titan Lord 3? I don't know. Is there? If it wants to be written, it will be written. And I think in general, the future, and like I said, I write for a very selfish reason. And as long as there are stories I want to read, I'm going to keep writing. And hopefully it's, and hopefully readers enjoy that ride with me. But if not, then it's all good,
All right. I'll do what everybody has apparently done to you for years now. I'm going to say, I have the perfect idea for you, okay? You go Lovecraft. You go Lovecraft. You put Iram, okay? Nobody's done Iram before. You publish it. You do it in Arabic and English. We split the profits. How about that?
There's another funny story about this, by the way.
Just to explain to people, that's apparently what he's had to face for the majority of his career.
It's a rite of passage. I think every author kind of has to deal with it, where someone comes to him and says, "I have an idea. How about you write it and we split the profits?" I've had people actually really insist that I write their life story.
Really?
I swear to God.
But are they paying you?
No. They're like, you know what you should do? You should write my life story. And I replied, no one would read it.
Who are these people?
Have
Have they at least achieved anything?
I don't know. Like, here's the thing, but that's the beauty
Is
of
it the YouTuber from before?
No.
You wish?
No.
No?
No. Okay, so I feel like that's the magic of life, because life, again, is relative, right? What you feel you're going through, you think it's so unique that it's just happening to you.
Yeah.
Guess what?
You're
there are
not special.
7.8 billion people.
Tell people they're not special. Look at that camera. Tell them they're not special.
No one is special. Everything is permitted. And here's the thing. This is not a joke as well. Time is the currency of success.
Yes.
However time you spend on something, you're going to get good at it. And there are a few things that you might be better than others, but then again, there are 7.8 billion people, so there's always someone who's better than you.
What's the saying? Talent are for the useless. It's the rest of us that show up and do the hard work.
True.
That's what matters at the end.
Hard work beats raw talent.
There you go. All right, you guys, I want you to make sure to check out his website, mgdarwish.com, to check out the next series, the next book that's coming out now. It's available for pre-order. It's called Titan Lord, 1,000 Ashes.
Absolutely.
And make sure to read some of his other books, the Fortier series as well, and Dragon Tooth. If you're interested in supporting, make sure to pick up a copy of it. Pre-order now. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. And speaking of merchandise, don't forget to actually check the comments below. Hit the word, or actually hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share. Let some people know that there's a giveaway for whoever actually types out Titan Lord in the comment section, and that gives you a chance at winning one of these amazing giveaways brought to you by Mohammed. Mohammed, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, your final words to everybody out there.
Quell the Titans.
Quell the Titans.
I didn't even think about that, right?
I hope, so. I love it, because I was thinking, I was like, is he going to say it? He said it!
Absolutely.
All right, you guys. Bye!